Okay, finally I want to say that many of these policies that are, many of the kinds of groups that are pushing for the spread of parallel legal systems, such as the informal Sharia councils in Britain, are being promoted abroad by DFID, that is the British Development Organization, by the UNDP, the UN Development Organization, and other groups to promote parallel legal systems in other countries, usually in post-conflict countries, but in many other contexts as well, Pakistan and India and so on as well. And they are being promoted at the same time as courts are being freed up in order to regulate banks. In order to have deregulation, allow companies to do what they like, you have to actually have quite a lot of regulation, financial regulations. You have to have law that is enforceable in the courts. And basically, family law and what's called minor criminal matters, in other words, virtually anything that might affect a woman. So it could be rape, it could be adultery charges, it could be all sorts of things, or virtually anything from inheritance to adultery that would affect women is being pushed into local courts or parallel legal courts by Western governments through the UN. This is an enormously frightening situation because it is a recognition by the UN that equality rights don't matter, and the rights of women don't matter, and the rights of minorities within minorities, within different groups don't matter. But they need to do this because they need to discipline states in terms of regulating other forms of contract law. And that's where we get to the cuts, and sorry, I've run over time a bit, but this matters because in the big society, it is going to be religious providers that provide. And they're going to do it, as Mariam said this morning, under the excuse that it will be the bodies that will scrutinize them and will regulate them. And frankly, this is a nonsense, and we have to campaign against it. We have to campaign against the cuts, and we have to campaign against the space that they're going to create for more and more religious regulation in our lives.
Thank you, Geeta. Over to Nina now.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank Mariam, Goranka, and many others from One Law for All organization for this meeting, for inviting me to this inspiring meeting. Inspiring at that point that I had to change completely my speech, and I don't know what it will be a result of these changes. Inspiring also in the sense that I have to challenge some of my own opinions, and I will speak a little bit about it after. I had to change my speech also because Sohaila and Geeta, I cannot say stolen my speech, but already said everything about, almost everything, but I will maybe come back to some points. So being here and hearing two precedent panels, I felt myself in some kind of intellectual discomfort because everybody agreed, everybody from the first, second, and now panels, that religions are harmful to women's rights. Religions, big monotheist or big, not only monotheist, but big religions are causing damage to women's rights, as human rights, and to women's situation. But it was only at that panel mentioned, but Sohaila, why? And I agree on this reason. I think that why religions are still so present and so harmful is because they are ally of the power based on domination. Power based on domination, domination of women, but domination of others, and exploitation. Would it be capitalism? And by coincidence, this march of delaicization in Europe and in the world, is it coincidence that it started to happen with Chicago School of Neoliberalism? But would it be neoliberalism or other system? We are facing the restoration of class domination in the world. And therefore, as you mentioned, the religions are so important now, and maybe as far as most Islamism, political Islamism, and Islamic fundamentalism is concerned, maybe it is not so much about capitalism. Maybe they prefer feudalism, but it's still an exploitation-based system. Another thing, another part of my stolen speech is the constatation that it is not so much about, not only about the law system, but about the implementation. The problems are whatever is the system of secular law, the problem is of its implementation. And I don't want now to enter into details with the topic of different kinds of secularism, different definitions of secularism, but either it is the wall of separation, and like in the US, or the laicity, French laicity, or multiculturalism, and moreover multicultural system, cultural, not cultural, but cultural system, independently of whatever is the chosen model. In fact, the laws are only the precondition of secular state, of secularized society, but laws cannot guarantee the implementation of such a system. And to be honest, I used to live under so-called communist rule in so-called communist country with so-called secularism. And then, I will speak about it now, I'm living in Poland, which is highly desecularized and highly clericalized. I have to say that I never been to any secular country. Never, ever, and I've been to many countries. So, I would like now to show you how it happened in Poland, with giving some examples, and then, based on those examples, invite you, because I don't have answers, but I have some questions about the concept on itself, about its applications and limitations. So let me go as much quickly as I can to go through this Polish example. So, in Poland, the fall of the communist regime in 1989 dramatically changed the relationship between church and state. The concept of secularism associated with the defeated regime becomes a symbol of evil. The right, political right, ally of the church, promotes two opposing stereotypes: communist equal atheist, traitor soul, traitor of the motherland, and good Pole equal good Catholic. And it is valid not only for Poland, but also for Croatia, Slovakia, and other Catholic ex-communist, so-called ex-communist countries, and for example, Orthodox Church in other countries of ex-communist region. Changes of laws marks the stages of desecularization in Poland, and I would like just to show you, speaking about it, how it, what was the process. In '89, the ultra-Catholic deputies proposed a project of law for a total ban of abortion. Just on '89, it is the year of changes. We already start. In 1990, it was the ordinance of the health ministry which obliged women to present a certificate from two gynecologists, one generalist and one psychologist, to have right to abortion. Still, abortion was permitted. In 1991, it was the Commission for the Goods of the Clergy of the Church, which started to work for the restitution of goods of Church. Also in 1991, there was the new law on education was adopted, and it was the law which introduced the catechism, so the lesson of religion, and the respect for Christian values at public school. Then, in 1992, it was the law on radio and television broadcastation. Broadcasters, both for the broadcasters, both private and public. 1993, it was the signature of the Concordat with Vatican. In 1993, also, it was the law on ban on abortion. We still have this law. It is one of the very restrictive laws. It is not the total ban, but the abortion is permitted in Poland only in 3 cases: result of rape of other criminal act, incest, or heavy risk for health of mother. So, the Polish episcopate objected to the principle of separation of church and state, and in the new constitution, the principle of separation of church and state was replaced by the principle of autonomy and mutual independence of state and church. Imagine now mutual independence. In what sphere so is church if they are independent? It is not in Poland. Okay, it is so independent of state.